Do you believe a simple act of kindness can change someone's life forever? Amelia, a young woman with a compassionate heart, encountered Carter, a homeless man with eyes full of sorrow. But the most surprising part of their story isn't his tragic past, it's the incredible rebirth of his talent and spirit, hidden in the hands he thought had lost their purpose. From an unexpected act of kindness grew a deep and heartfelt connection, leading both of them on a journey filled with hope, resilience, and love. Join us as we explore how their lives intertwined and how love bloomed in the most unexpected of circumstances. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Amelia. She lived a simple and quiet life in a cozy little house nestled near the city center. Her days followed a predictable rhythm: work, home, and the occasional visit to her favorite park. Despite the ordinariness of her routine, Amelia had a heart brimming with kindness, even though she often kept to herself. One crisp autumn evening, as she walked home from work, her thoughts wandered aimlessly until something unusual caught her attention. By the side of the road, an old man sat slumped against a lamppost. His clothes were tattered and faded, his hair unkempt and streaked with gray. He appeared utterly exhausted, his frail shoulders hunched, as though the weight of the world rested upon them. His face bore the deep lines of hardship, and his weary eyes carried a sorrow that seemed to echo from some distant past. Amelia's steps faltered, and she felt an inexplicable tug at her heart. She had never seen this man before. Yet there was something about his demeanor, a mix of quiet dignity and despair, that stirred her compassion. He looked as though he had been forgotten by the world, and Amelia couldn't bring herself to walk past him. Gathering her courage, she approached him cautiously. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, her voice kind but hesitant. "Are you all right?" The man looked up, his tired eyes meeting hers. For a moment, he seemed startled by her concern, but his expression soon softened. "I'm all right, Mississippi," he replied, though his voice was weak and his words unconvincing. "Just tired and hungry, that's all." Amelia hesitated only briefly before offering, "Would you like to come to my home? It's not far from here. You can rest, and I can make you something warm to eat." The man hesitated, his pride and vulnerability warring within him. Finally, he nodded. "Thank you, young lady. That's very kind of you." As they walked together, Amelia learned that his name was Carter. He shared pieces of his story, a once skilled carpenter who had lost everything he held dear. Years ago, a series of misfortunes had cost him his job. And not long after, his family drifted away, with no safety net and no one to lean on. The streets had become his reluctant home. When they arrived at her modest house, Amelia invited him inside, offering him a seat on the worn but comfortable couch in her living room. She quickly busied herself in the kitchen, preparing a hearty meal. Though her means were limited, Amelia didn't hold back. She didn't know exactly why she felt so driven to help Carter, but there was something in his demeanor, a quiet resilience, that inspired her. As she set a steaming plate of food before him, Carter looked up with eyes glistening with gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered, his hands trembling slightly as he picked up the spoon. He ate slowly, savoring each bite, and for the first time in years, he seemed to relax, his hunched shoulders easing back against the chair. Later, as they sat together, Amelia listened intently as Carter shared more about his past. "I loved carpentry," he said, his voice gaining a hint of strength as he spoke of his former trade. There's a certain joy in creating something with your own hands. Shaping raw wood into something beautiful and lasting. But when I lost my job, everything fell apart. My wife left. And soon, I couldn't afford to keep my home. It was like the ground was pulled out from under me. Amelia's heart ached for him. She had always known that life could be unkind. But hearing Carter's story made her realize just how fragile circumstances could be. Over the following weeks, Amelia invited Carter over regularly. She made sure he had food and a warm place to rest. In return, he shared stories of his life, his craft, and the dreams he once had. One day, Carter arrived carrying a small, weathered toolbox. Curious, Amelia asked about it. Carter smiled, his face lighting up for the first time since she had met him. "This is all I have left of my old life," he said. "Even when I had nothing, I couldn't part with these tools. They remind me of who I used to be." Amelia admired his resilience. Though life had stripped so much from him, he had held on to the things that mattered most. She encouraged him to use the tools again. And slowly, Carter began to rediscover his craft. He started with small repairs around her home, tightening a loose hinge, mending a broken chair, fixing the backyard fence. Each task seemed to breathe new life into him. One evening, Amelia returned home to find Carter hunched over a small wooden block. His hands moved deftly, shaping the wood into a delicate bird figurine. The craftsmanship was exquisite, the fine details reflecting years of skill. "That's beautiful," Amelia said, her voice filled with awe. Carter looked up, his face beaming with quiet pride. "It's been a long time since I've made something like this," he admitted. "But it feels good. It reminds me of who I am." As days turned into weeks, Amelia witnessed a remarkable transformation in Carter. The defeated man she had first met had been replaced by someone filled with purpose and quiet determination. In turn, Carter became a reminder to Amelia of the profound impact a single act of kindness could have on another's life. Through their unlikely friendship, both of their lives were irrevocably changed. The following weekend, Amelia decided to take Carter to the local market. She had noticed how limited his tools were, worn and outdated remnants of a life he had once cherished. As they strolled through the bustling market, filled with the vibrant sounds of merchants calling out their wares and the aroma of fresh bread and roasted coffee, Amelia guided Carter toward a small shop that specialized in woodworking tools. "I've been thinking," she said, glancing at him with a warm smile. "You can't keep doing great work with those old tools. Let's get you what you need to truly shine." Carter hesitated, his pride bubbling to the surface. "Amelia, you've already done so much for me. I can't let you spend your money on me." But Amelia simply shook her head. "This isn't just about you, Carter. It's about helping you rebuild. Consider it an investment in your talent and in your future." Together, they picked out high-quality tools, a smooth plane, sharp chisels, a sturdy mallet, and an assortment of saws. Amelia watched as Carter examined each item with the careful eye of a seasoned craftsman. His hands trembled slightly as he touched the tools, his emotions threatening to overwhelm him. "Thank you, Amelia," he said at last, his voice thick with gratitude. "You've given me more than tools. You've given me hope." With his new tools in hand, Carter began to rebuild not just furniture but his life. He started with small carpentry projects around Amelia's home and soon extended his efforts to the neighborhood. Word spread about his skill and dedication. He repaired broken chairs, crafted elegant shelves, and even made Amelia a custom wooden dining table that quickly became the centerpiece of her home. As Carter's work gained recognition, the people in the community began to notice him. Neighbors started hiring him for jobs, praising his craftsmanship and his gentle, humble demeanor. With each project he completed, Carter's confidence grew, and Amelia found herself marveling at his transformation. The man who had once been broken now stood tall, his hands steady and his heart full. One evening, after completing a particularly intricate bookshelf for a client, Carter turned to Amelia. "I've been thinking," he began, his tone serious yet hopeful. "I want to open a carpentry shop. It's a big dream, I know, but I feel like I'm ready." Amelia's face lit up with excitement. "Carter, that's a wonderful idea. You have the talent. And now you have the tools. I'll help you however I can." They set to work turning Carter's dream into a reality. Amelia helped him find a small but charming shop near the edge of town. Together, they painted the walls, arranged the tools, and set up a cozy workspace where Carter could welcome clients and showcase his creations. The day the shop opened, a steady stream of customers came, drawn by both Carter's reputation and the heartfelt story of his journey. As Carter's business flourished, he became a respected figure in the community. People admired not just his exceptional carpentry but also the resilience he had shown in overcoming adversity. His story became an inspiration, a testament to the power of kindness and second chances. Amelia's life, too, began to change. Watching Carter's transformation taught her lessons about courage, resilience, and the importance of helping others. She realized that the simple decision to stop and show compassion that day had set off a chain of events that had profoundly altered both of their lives. One evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky, painting the living room in shades of gold and amber, Amelia and Carter sat together after a long day. A small wooden bird, one of Carter's latest carvings, rested on the coffee table between them. Amelia admired its delicate details, the curves and textures speaking to Carter's steady hands and artistic eye. "You know," Amelia said softly, breaking the peaceful silence, "you've come so far. Carter, I'm proud of you." Carter smiled, his eyes warm as they met hers. "I couldn't have done it without you, Amelia. You gave me more than tools and shelter. You gave me a reason to believe in myself again." Their conversation slowed, and the quiet moment stretched, filled with unspoken emotions. Carter's gaze lingered on Amelia, his expression shifting into something tender, almost vulnerable. "Amelia," he said finally, his voice lower and steadier, "I don't think I can ever fully express how much you've changed my life. You're more than a friend, you've become a part of my story." Amelia felt her cheeks flush, her heart fluttering in a way she hadn't expected. She glanced down at her hands, unsure of what to say but feeling the weight of his words settle in her chest like a warm glow. For the first time, she began to wonder if their bond had grown into something deeper than friendship. As the evening turned into night, their laughter and stories continued to fill the room. But an unspoken connection hung in the air, one that neither of them was ready to put into words just yet. It was a moment of quiet understanding, a hint of what might lie ahead, and a testament to how far kindness and compassion could carry two people willing to believe in one another. Carter stood up slowly, his movements deliberate, as though the weight of his emotions required care. He walked closer to Amelia, his presence filling the room with a gentle intensity. "I don't know if I've ever told you this," he began, his voice quieter now, softer than a whisper yet rich with feeling. "But being around you has made me feel alive again. I haven't felt this way in a long time." Amelia felt her heart race, her chest tightening in a mix of anticipation and confusion. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? For so long, she had seen Carter as a friend, someone whose journey she had supported, someone who needed her strength to rebuild his fractured life. But now, as he stood before her, his eyes brimming with kindness and vulnerability, she began to wonder if there might be more to their bond than she had dared to consider. "Carter," Amelia started, her voice faltering as uncertainty gripped her. She wasn't sure what to say next. Emotions she hadn't acknowledged before were surfacing, and a small voice inside her urged her to listen carefully. Carter smiled gently, the corners of his lips lifting in a way that conveyed both hope and humility. His gaze never left hers as he continued. "I know I'm not young anymore, and my past is full of pain and mistakes. But you've helped me see something beautiful in myself again. You believed in me when I couldn't. And that means more than I can put into words. I feel something special when I'm with you." The room seemed to hold its breath. The soft ticking of the clock on the wall was the only sound, marking the passing seconds as Amelia's mind whirled. She had never imagined herself in a moment like this. Carter had been a stranger once, a man she'd encountered on the street in dire circumstances, someone she had chosen to help out of compassion and a sense of justice. But now, he was so much more. He was her friend, her confidant, and perhaps, as her racing heart suggested, someone her soul had begun to cherish. "Carter," Amelia said at last, her voice trembling as she struggled to find the right words. I didn't expect this. But I'm glad you told me. It means so much that you trust me enough to share your feelings. I need time to think about this, but please know that I care about you deeply." Carter nodded, his expression softening. "I understand. I didn't mean to rush you or make you feel uncomfortable. I just wanted to be honest with you." The air between them shifted, no longer heavy with uncertainty but imbued with a quiet sense of possibility. Amelia's lips curled into a small, tentative smile as she looked at Carter, her heart stirring with emotions she hadn't fully explored. Perhaps, she thought, love didn't always come in the forms we expected. Perhaps it could grow from the seeds of kindness and understanding, nurtured by shared struggles and quiet moments. The days that followed brought subtle changes to their relationship. Their friendship deepened, their conversations became more intimate, and an unspoken connection seemed to strengthen with each passing moment. One evening, as they shared a late dinner at Amelia's small dining table, the atmosphere felt different. The gentle glow of the table lamp cast warm light on their faces, and their laughter filled the room with an ease that felt almost magical. When the plates were cleared and the dishes set aside, they found themselves sitting together on the couch. The conversation turned to dreams and future plans, topics they had rarely ventured into before. As the discussion lulled, a comfortable silence settled over them. Carter glanced at Amelia, his expression thoughtful. For a moment, he seemed hesitant, but then his gaze softened, and a tender smile played on his lips. "Amelia," he began, his voice low, "you've done so much for me. I can't thank you enough for believing in me. even when I couldn't believe in myself. You've shown me that life is still worth living. I don't want to assume anything. But I feel something I can't ignore. Amelia's heart quickened. She wasn't sure how to respond. But she could see the sincerity in his eyes. Before she could form a reply, Carter leaned in. His movements unhurried and filled with respect. He placed a gentle kiss on her cheek. So soft it felt like a whisper against her skin. The gesture wasn't dramatic or demanding, it was a quiet declaration of his feelings. And it left Amelia speechless. She blinked, her cheeks warming as she searched his face for answers. "Carter," she said softly. "What's going on?" He smiled again, his expression calm and reassuring. "I think we both know there's something special between us. I don't want to rush you or make you feel pressured. I just needed you to know how I feel." The warmth of his words settled over her. And Amelia felt a mixture of emotions she couldn't quite name. She had spent so much time focusing on helping Carter, on being a source of stability for him, that she hadn't realized how deeply her own feelings had grown. Slowly, Carter reached out and took her hand in his, offering a quiet gesture of comfort. She squeezed it gently, feeling an unexpected sense of peace. The evening unfolded naturally from there. They talked and laughed, their conversation flowing as easily as a stream. Hours passed unnoticed. And by the time the night grew quiet, Amelia realized how much Carter had become a part of her life. He wasn't just someone she had helped, he was someone she admired. Someone she trusted. Someone she could imagine building a future with. As they sat together, side by side, Amelia allowed herself to consider the possibility of love, not the kind she had read about in novels or seen in movies, but a quiet, enduring love built on understanding, respect, and shared journeys. It was a love that had taken root in the unlikeliest of circumstances and was now blossoming into something she could no longer deny. Life often presents us with challenges that seem impossible to overcome. But kindness and perseverance have the power to change everything. Amelia and Carter not only found new meaning in their lives but also proved that love can bloom in the most unexpected places. From a cold street corner to the warm moments shared in a small home, they wrote a story of hope, trust, and redemption together. Carter's journey reminds us that sometimes a simple invitation, a warm meal, or even a compassionate glance can light the way through the darkest times. And always remember, even when you feel like you have nothing to give, there is something within you that can change someone else's life. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to discover more meaningful stories with us. Your support inspires us to keep bringing impactful content to life.